Hello, everyone. I'm Mariposa Young, and today I am going to talk to you about astrology. And I am going to tell you about astrology as if you don't know anything about astrology and you're very, very beginning and kind of want to have some background, foundational information about astrology. Okay? So if that's not you and you don't feel like you need it, just skip it. All right. But if I'm talking to you, come here. Let's talk. You can always ask me questions in the comments and let me know what you think of this video. So first, I will tell you a little bit of my background about astrology and how I encountered astrology and started with astrology. So I I come from kind of a long line of, particularly the women in my family, a long line of witches, astrologers, spiritualists, people who did readings for money, did them professionally, um, and also people who did not do it professionally, but did it anyway in their personal lives with their friends and family. And so when I was born, of course, my grandmother and my mother, cast my chart right away. I will be 50 next year. So when they were casting my chart, it was by hand and using a reference book. And they were doing the math by hand. And now, oh my gosh, things are so much different for astrology. There are tons of free apps where you can get your natal chart done for free. You can at least get all the things on the wheel, right, that we're going to talk about today. And there's just so much free and paid information available to you about astrology. Astrology has been one of the first spiritualist kind of traditions or modalities that were computerized and went online, and like it's really been kind of a pioneer because it involves calculations, math. Those things can be programmed by computers, and you can put a lot of reference materials in in a digital context. So it's really grown a lot since I was a kid. But anyway, when I was born, my chart was done by my family, and they stuck my chart in my grandmother's astrology book. Um, Astrology books were like a family Bible for my family, and everybody's chart was kept in there, and we could quickly reference important matters in people's lives with that book and the charts. And some of the first hi grandma some of the first books that I read as a child or were read to me were astrology books that talked about the definition of the signs and the planets and the aspects and the houses and all that stuff. And then, of course, by the time I was in my late teens and early 20s, I could access so much information on my own. I didn't have to depend only on my family. I could get books. Metaphysical shops were pretty available. What I'd love to do is get charts, and it was just the chart, it didn't have any interpretation from the metaphysical shop for my clients. And it was like $5 for a chart. And I knew how to do the math, and I still know how to do the math of figuring out a chart, birth chart, but it's so much easier to have a computer do it. So why? So that's what I did. That's what I did. And my tradition that I know the most about is tropical astrology, which astrology is the most common astrology that we have in the United States, Canada, Europe. It's the most common. So in tropical astrology, we always set Aries season to start at the spring equinox, and then every sign follows thereafter. That is, you know, the our solar system is moving. No, nothing stays still in the universe, right? All those constellations that have the signs, they're moving. And so if you take a telescope and you look in the night sky during the spring equinox, when there is equal day and night on Earth, you will not see the sign of Aries being kind of the background constellation of the sun. You will not see that anymore because things have moved. So astrology that considers like where things really are right now and not like where they were like 5,000 years ago when these systems were established. That's called sidereal astrology. I just bring it up to contrast. So astrology, as we know it here in the West, is its foundation is in Greece and Italy, Rome, Greece, Greek and Roman mythology. And astrology then, this was starting to get rolling and established like 5,000 years ago. Back then, it was attaching figures from their mythology to constellations in the sky and planets that were moving. Now, they didn't know the planets were planets. They thought they were stars that moved quicker than the like stars in the background. So that same exercise is not unique to Greece or, antiquity of Western civilization. It's not unique to them. The whole time we've been humans, we have looked in the night sky and seen the stars and attached stories from our own imaginations, our own beliefs, our own mythology to what we're seeing in the sky, and tried to make sense of our world. So astrology is very ancient and it's global. So the Mayans had their own astrology. The Chinese have their own astrology. There's Vedic astrology from India. Many systems didn't survive to today, but a few have, right? So I personally do not think like one type of astrology is better or more true or whatever than another. I think it just depends on you as the client, like what system resonates with you. And as a practitioner, as an astrologer, it just depends on what I'm drawn to and what I want to learn about. And one of the things I love about astrology is such a huge topic. It is such a huge topic with all these like subsets of topics that I can be a lifelong learner about astrology myself as an astrologer. And I just love that because I love studying and learning. It's my favorite. So, anyway, I practice when I do charts for other people, I use tropical astrology. I know more than I want to know about Chinese astrology, but I don't feel confident with Chinese astrology for doing charts for other people. I know more than I want to know about sidereal astrology, but I don't feel confident enough in that to offer readings to other people. So I leave that to people who have more experience with that than I do. And I stick with tropical. And then even with astrology, natal astrology is like looking at your natal chart, like the chart. What is a natal chart? The chart is where everything was in our solar system the moment you were born. And from your vantage point on Earth. Okay. So, where was the horizon? And then, where were the constellations and the planets in regards to the horizon? Where was the sun? Where was the moon? Where was Mercury? Where was Venus? Okay. And then we kind of interpret that to have a lot of meaning for your personality and some major events that happen in your life. That's natal astrology. So I most often do that. And lately, I've been offering more specialized information about what's going on with Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid, and it can really tell us about topics about the unhealed healer. People that are in service and, they usually give to others kind of in relation to their own needs, their own wounds. So I think that's really, you can see a lot about that and like see some remedies about that in astrology. I also do deep dives into retrogrades. What was retrograde while you were born? All the planets except the moon and the sun go retrograde. They have retrograde periods. So what does that mean? Like, what does that mean if you were born during a retrograde of a planet? And different things mean different things, right? So anyway, that's like background of my knowledge and my experience. When I think I was 16, my grandmother gave me, it was brand new at the time, this astrology book to be my like family astrology book. It's called The Complete, and it's spelled goofily, Astrologer. I mean, it was a new purchase for her, but the let's look at the copyright. I think it was in the 70s. This copyright. Yep, 1971. And I keep I keep family charts in here. Right? So I don't want to get too personalized, but this is a family member, and birth charts look like this. They're a circle, and they have little glyphs here and there. Those are all planets. The outer rim tells you about the signs. The inner circle will have numbers 1 through 12. That'll tell you about the houses. And astrology is read with quite a bit of synergy, combining the meanings of the signs, the planets, the houses, and aspects, the angles of where things are to each other in the sky. And you like mix that all together and you come out with meaning. And I really think us humans are just meaning making machines. We just delight in finding meaning in everything around us. So that's how I deal with astrology professionally. In my own personal life, I do keep an eye on that astrology for me, like what's going on with my birth chart in comparison to what is going on in the sky right now. That can tell you a lot of things that will be easy or will be more challenging that are right now, right? And even into the future, you can look into that as well. And then I also practice mundane astrology. What is mundane astrology? Is it boring astrology? No. Mundane astrology means that we are looking at astrological patterns and aspects that affect the whole human collective, that affect the global situation with humans, right? So we're talking about more of a tie-in with history, right? And how astrologers, mundane astrologers, look at this is they look at like the last time these two planets, whatever they are, were in relationship like this before. And what was going on? What were some historical events? And historical events, they usually revolve around war and conquest and maybe technological innovations as well. But, you know, it's kind of the broad strokes, right? Things that affect all of us and us as a collective and not just individuals. Although, if I'm like, wow, Saturn's having a really hard time, and Saturn in your own birth chart is right by your rising sign, or right by your sun, or right by your moon, because those three are really important to your chart, your personal chart. Then, you know, whatever I'm saying is going on globally with Saturn might have a better chance of being more personally experienced by you. So if I say Saturn is kind of ineffectual right now, it's not really being a great organizer or whatever, because Saturn is really about organization and discipline, right? And it's like it's not working in that aspect very good right now. And then you have it really close to you, then you might really struggle with being on task during that time that Saturn is challenged, right? So I offer to whoever subscribes to my website, which my website is mariposayoung.com. Whoever subscribes there, I send them a monthly mundane astrology report. And I am doing it anyway for me. So I thought I would share it as a freebie for those that follow my website. So you are welcome to jump on over there and subscribe as well. Then I am a witch, and I used to be in a Wiccan coven when I was in my 20s, and my grandmother was a witch, and there is a lot of family and community knowledge and experience I have with magic, doing spells, doing ceremonies, those kind of things. And I have really integrated astrology very much into my magical practice. Um, if I do a new moon ceremony, what I'm doing will depend heavily on what sign the moon is in, but also how that moon is aspected with other planets at that time. And it will inform what kind of ceremony I'm doing, what kind of intentions I'm setting, because new moons are great for setting intentions. Um, that's true for like all my magical work. I'm not a witch for hire. I have kind of kept that to myself. I do practice with my whole family, with my children and my husband, though. And I love practicing with friends as well. Um, but I don't like do it for hire like my grandmother did for many, many years. Um, so you can use astrology in many different ways, is why I'm telling you this. You can use it to inform your personal life, to get more self knowledge about yourself, to a little bit see around corners for some things that might come up for you. You can use it as kind of a social context, like what are some things that you and yours need to prepare for kind of on a global level. And that would be mundane, right? You can use it in your very intimately in your own spiritual practice when you're really, um, really engaged with the energies of the universe. Um, I think Wicca, neo paganism, whatever you want to call it, its main focus is to be engaged with nature. And our whole universe is part of nature, not just here, although here is beautiful as far as nature is concerned. So, anyway, astrology is really great. I recommend it. And this is just a starter video, and I plan to do a whole series for beginners to get them more confident and more into astrology and taken off in their own niche ways that they want to deep dive into astrology. I hope I inspire that anyway. Anyway, that's all I have to say for today. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you around.